Dust lifts when I crawl to the edge of the choir loft, palms flat on timber worn slick by 1,000 hymns. Below me, white lilies everywhere. Pews, railings, altar, so thick the scent feels like a hand on my throat. Strings feather the air, champagne flutes flash on silver trays, pastel people smile with their teeth. Quiet day, Lena said. Private. Down there, it's chandeliers and small diamonds and the soft roar of approval. The organ bellows. Heavy doors yaw open, heads swivel as if on a single hinge. Lena glides into view, lace hugging her like a rumor she curated herself. She doesn't walk, she floats. Chin high, smile honed to a blade. The aisle is hers. And then there, his shoulder, broad, tux cut like it was tailored on his body while he slept. I crushed the rail with both hands. Dust motes dance in the stained glass light like confetti at the end of the world. Turn around, I beg inside my skull. Turn! He leans to her ear, a whisper, a profile. Light snags on the line of his jaw, the exact dark hair I threaded my fingers through this morning when he said, "Flight's early. Wish me luck, baby." The universe goes soundless, then wrong. Music warps to a funeral dirge, lilies sour to rot. My heartbeat is the last firework over a city that never asked for celebration. Julian. My husband stands at the altar beside my sister. I don't breathe. My lungs are locked behind glass. I press closer to the wooden lip until it bites my ribs, needing a second angle, a loophole in physics that makes this someone else. But he turns fully and there's no loophole. Just reality, sleek and merciless. God, I mouth. No sound comes. I look for my parents, front row, first pew, the kingdom seat. My mother dabs fabricated joy from the corner of her eye. My father's mouth holds the proud, stern line he reserves for promotions, awards, Ashford moments. Nothing fractured there. No surprise exactly where surprise should live. They knew. The quartet slides into a refrain that owns the room. The minister lifts his book. Voices hush into a reverent static. My chest sizzles with a cold that burns. 2 weeks ago, Lena, it's better if you sit this one out. Venue is small, keeping it intimate. Intimate means without you. A gloved usher closes the doors like ending a chapter I haven't finished reading. I wonder what my face looks like in this light, this sanctuary glow that makes liars look tender and snakes look polished. I should stand, I should speak, I should grind the ceremony to a halt with the truth like a wrench in the gears. Instead, I watch. Julian doesn't scan the pews, doesn't glance up to the loft where I'm an uninvited star in the rafters. He belongs to this fiction with a practiced ease that feels ancient, inevitable. He angles toward Lena, she angles toward eternity. The minister's vowels roll up into the vault. Love, covenant, sacred. The words don't stick to me, they slide off like oil on glass. Every phrase comes with an image. Julian's mug, still in our sink. Julian's jacket, on the hook by the door. Julian's breath against my throat before dawn. A cough erupts somewhere in the nave, human and small. Reality tilts and rights itself. I still haven't breathed. If anyone knows a reason these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now, or forever hold your peace. The sentence rings the way metal rings when it's struck. Heads tilt for drama. Even the lilies seem to lean in. This is the cue. Stand, open your mouth, say the thing. I lift an inch and every eye below feels like a floodlight, though none are on me. My body sizzles with static. I picture the scene the moment after I object. The gasp, the hands, the security, Lena's mouth forming the perfect O of injury. Julian narrowing his eyes like a man who expected a complication and already has the story sharpened to a point. "Sit down," whispers the part of me that still calculates dosage and risk in triage. "Not here, not like this." The moment contracts, then slides away like a door closing. The minister smiles, relieved to be past the hinge. My muscles surrender to stillness. But inside, something ancient turns a key. "Fine. You can have your theater. I'll write the ending." The vows begin. He says, "I do," clean and resonant as if the phrase grew in his mouth. A hairline crack races through me, clean and resonant, and a version of me falls through. She is the one who always made herself easier, quieter. She dies without noise. Lena's "I do" lands breathless, conspiring. She is radiant the way a thief radiates when the vault opens. Behind them, light stabs through stained glass, blue, carmine, saintly, washing the altar in a technicolor that feels obscene. "By the power vested in me." He kisses her too long for church, mouth greedy, hand proprietary. Applause breaks like surf. I taste copper. My lower lip has a crescent I don't remember making. They pivot and face their congregation. They are beautiful together in the way hurricanes look beautiful from space. For a breath, Julian's eyes snag high, over heads, over hats, toward shadows. Reflex, instinct, ghost sense. My blood becomes a bell. If he sees me, this is a different war. But he doesn't. His gaze moves on, catching a laugh, a flash, a godmother's hand lifted in benediction. I flatten back into the loft, a secret squared. They process down the aisle through confetti of rice that isn't rice and bubbles that will dry sticky on satin. Strangers lean in for glimpses they'll retell at brunch. I memorize everything without meaning to. The exact angle of Lena's bouquet, the sound of my father's laugh cut to fit wealth, the shimmer of the aisle runner caught on the heel of a guest's shoe. My phone is a cold rectangle in my pocket. I thumb it open, not to dial, not to scream, just to record. I don't even look at the screen. I hold it close to the rail and let the lens drink the exit. Proof that the impossible happened in daylight. The church exhales guests in soft waves. Shoes on stone, chatter, the little relief sounds people make when the sacred ends and the drinking begins. I wait until the sanctuary is mostly empty and the quartet is a rumor packing their instruments. When I move, my knees argue. I make my way down the narrow staircase meant for sopranos and custodians, hand on wall, feet careful in a borrowed black heel. In the narthex, the air is cooler, edged with old wood and wax. Close, human noises bounce. A child whining, a woman shushing, a laugh too loud. Outside, through frosted glass, I catch white tents and a slice of sky. I stand for 3 heartbeats and imagine walking to the nearest cop, to the nearest priest, to the nearest microphone. I imagine the click of a camera catching my face as I say the words that make headlines. I open the side door instead. Light hits me full in the eyes. The courtyard is dressed like a wish. Petals, lanterns, a fountain doing its best impression of innocence. Laughter rings off limestone. A photographer calls, "More shoulder. Perfect. Chin up." Doves exist somewhere in a rented crate. Across the bricks, my mother touches Lena's veil with fingertips reverent as prayer. My father is telling Julian something that makes him smile that smile, the one I thought I earned. I thread behind boxwood and column, a nurse's glide, the walk you learn to keep from waking sleeping pain. I'm close enough to catch their voices as they drift and overlap. Names, praise, the flattery that is currency at events like this. "Julian," my father says, low, affectionate, the vowel rounded like it belongs to family. "Welcome." He has never said my husband's name like that to me. "Thank you, sir," Julian answers, and the sir is a perfect note on a perfect day. I feel the shape of a scream rise and then flatten. ironed by a new heat. Not the frantic fire that wants to burn everything indiscriminately. A cleaner flame. Purpose. A waiter passes within arm's reach. He offers a glass of champagne without looking straight at me because I am no one. A shadow, a caterer, a cousin. I take it. Bubbles crawl up my nose when I drink. It steadies me. The photographer lifts his camera, directs the group in tears on the church steps. He calls, "Parents of the bride." My mother floats up beside my father. "Groom's side," he says, and for a feral second I picture stepping into the frame, the universe hiccuping as place and truth collide. I don't. I watch the shutter machine gun their happiness into files named IMG 4721 through IMG 4802. I note a detail no one else will choose to remember. My mother's hand trembles when she lowers it from her veil. Guilt is heavier than silk. The champagne glass empties itself in my hand. I set it on the lip of an empty planter and pull my scarf tighter over my hair. On the far curb, a white vintage car idles, ribboned, ridiculous. The driver stands at attention. Lena angles her train. Julian checks his watch. He always checks his watch when he's already made the decision. A gust sends damp petals skittering over stone. One slaps my shoe and sticks there, a cling of pink. I peel it off and fold it into my palm like a pill. The ridiculous part of me that still prays thinks, a sign. The part of me that will survive thinks, evidence bag. "Ready?" he asks, a stage whisper, fingers at the small of her back like ownership. "Always," she says, and the word is a winner's grin. They move toward the car through a tunnel of applause. Phones lift, confetti cannons cough paper joy. As Lena passes, her eyes rake the courtyard and for a fraction hitch where shadows thicken. She doesn't see me. She sees the idea of me, a problem already solved. The door shuts on Lace. He circles the hood, performs the gallant gesture for the crowd, slides in beside her. The car pulls away with a theatrical purr. I stand in the attic of myself and take inventory. Hands, steady now. Heart, measurable. Mind, awake. The part that would make a scene has been sedated by something smarter. I look at the scattering of guests, at my parents receiving congratulations like dividends. The quartet begins to pack. A groundskeeper sweeps a path through rice that isn't rice. The sky is that precise wedding blue that makes promises it can't keep. I turn my back on the doors that swing to sacraments and follow the hedge line to the street, keeping to the seam where light and shadow meet. My car waits 3 blocks down, where I left it with a prayer and a plan I didn't have yet. At the curb, I take my phone out again. My reflection stares back. Eyes too bright, mouth bitten, a smear of mascara like war paint. I hit record and point the lens at my own face. "Timestamp," I say. My voice is even. "St. Catherine's. My sister married my husband today." The red dot blinks, proof that a thing happened and I saw it. I lower the phone. Across the street, a cousin posts a story. Laughter, bubbles, a hashtag with a last name that used to be mine alone. A comment pops up. "Reception at Grandview Estate." Good. Let them have their public joy. I'll take the quiet left behind. I tip my face to the sky once, not to ask why, but to feel the air on my skin. Then I get in my car, buckle the belt with hands that don't shake, and pull into traffic, several vehicles behind the white ribboned lie. I'm done begging the universe to turn heads for me. I'm done asking rooms to make space. I have work to do.
Grandview Estate sits on the edge of town like someone's idea of forever. Terraces poured over a lawn cut with a ruler. Fountains rehearsing innocence. Chandeliers suspended inside tents like captured constellations. The iron gate blinks with security wands and clipboards. Names and lists. Thresholds and the people paid to guard them. I park 2 streets over, kill the engine, and watch the procession snake through. White ribbons, laughter marinated in champagne. I slide my scarf tighter, ditch the heels for flats from my trunk, and cut into the trees behind the property. Mulch gives under my soles, branches scratch a warning on my arms, then let me through. The fence is tall, but not arrogant enough to refuse a woman who's already fallen. I climb. Dress tears on an iron flourish, a bite of pain. I swing a leg over, drop into hedges that smell expensive. Leaves pin a few wet kisses to my hair. I stay crouched until the pulse in my throat stops drumming. Then I move, shadow to shadow, toward the music. Inside the tents, light glows the color of butter. A band melts jazz into air. The sweetheart table sits on its own little stage, 2 thrones and a cake that could topple a toddler. Lena has removed her veil. Her hair is a campaign promise. Julian's jacket is off, sleeves rolled, the practiced ease of a man who thinks work is other people. I locate cover behind a stone fountain carved into myth. Mermaid or mother, who can tell? Water babbles, a noise like privacy. I lift my phone, lens peeking over the lip, and begin to collect the day that will end them. Kisses, hand on thigh, the ring I've never seen glinting where vows go to look like truth. Waiters float past carrying little edible decisions skewered with gold. I let them pass, invisible. Beautiful ceremony, one pearl-dripped woman says to another near my fountain. Cigarette smoke drifts like a secret no one bothers to hide out here. Though I heard there's some family situation. A sister? Jealous type, unstable. Lena didn't invite her for that reason. Brave, honestly. My fingernails press half-moons into my palm. Out by the stage, Julian rises and taps his glass. The crowd hushes like a congregation. He smiles the way he smiled at me the first time he told me his middle name. In intimacy, he acts like a gift. He's good at this. He was always good at this. "Thank you for being here," he says. The mic warms his voice into a richer lie. "Today is the happiest day of my life." Applause. I keep filming. When I met Lena, I knew she was different, brilliant, kind. He looks at her like she makes him a better man. We've kept things private for reasons, but from the moment I saw her, there was no one else. The phrase lands like a brick on my sternum, not because it's true, but because it's crafted. No one else is for me, a knife wrapped in silk. Lena stands and slides into his side. They're framed in champagne and stolen blessings. She speaks into the mic in her theater voice. "Thank you for respecting our privacy. When you find something precious, you protect it even from those who might try to take it." A ripple through the crowd. Oh, the drama, the bravery. My father raises his glass when called, voice a sermon. "To Lena and Julian, may your love be as enduring as your mother's and mine." I taste metal. I let the rage stand beside me and keep my hands steady. Enough watching. I pocket my phone and leave the fountain's cover, moving along boxwood geometry to the east garden, where the tent thins and shadows grow taller. A guard patrols the border. He's bored, the way men get bored when paid to prevent problems that never arrive. I step out in front of him and peel my scarf away, hair falling like a flare. "Excuse me, ma'am," he says, already squaring shoulders. "Invitation?" "I'm family," I say. My voice is a smooth stone. "You'll want to call them." His radio pops. He repeats my words into static. "They come the way storms come. First, a pressure drop you can feel in your teeth, then clouds. My mother appears in a flutter of lace and alarm. My father's jaw is already a gavel. Lena floats behind them, followed by Julian, who wears the face he saves for negotiations. "Delilah," my mother hisses, an almost smile varnished thin over panic. "What are you doing?" "Congratulating the happy couple," I say. "You need to leave," my father says. Low enough to make it private, loud enough to make it performative. "Embarrass myself? Is that what we're calling it?" A laugh escapes me and fractures on the patio stones. "Please don't do this," Lena says, stepping forward like a woman brave enough to manage a disaster not of her making. "Don't make a scene." "Did I ask, finally turning to her. "Or did you?" I face Julian.
His eyes, those reliable, lying eyes, skim my face, measuring, choosing a narrative. Delilah, he says gently, for the audience, you're upset. We should talk somewhere quiet. Privately, I echo, like you privately married my sister while you were married to me. Gasps move through the terrace, like wind through wheat. Heads turn, a flock swivels. The band misses a note. That's insane, Lena says quickly, urgently, her hand on the mic stand before anyone realizes she's touching it. Julian and I have been together 8 months. He is not married to anyone. I hold up my phone. My wedding photo blooms on the screen. Us, 2.5 years ago. The same jawline, the same curve of ear. My mother makes a sound like a teacup cracking. Photoshop, Lena snaps. She has a fixation. Her voice trembles in the exact way that buys sympathy. We didn't invite her because we were worried something like this might happen. Julian steps closer, palms open. I think you need professional help, he says to me, tender, grave. This narrative you've built? Don't, I say. And the word cuts. Do not gaslight me now. I look past them to my parents. You knew. When did you decide she deserved my husband more than I did? My mother shakes her head, tears quick, talent she's had for years. We were trying to protect yourselves, I finish. A ripple becomes a riptide. Guests drift nearer as if tasting a better party. Phones lift, modern candles for a modern witch burning. I have proof, I say to the room that has decided to be courtroom and jury. License, lease, joint bank accounts, photos, neighbors, friends. His clothes in our closet this morning. Forged, Julian says quietly, carving the word clean. All of it. Security edges closer. Their job is to carry away noise. I look at him one last time. The man who kissed my hair 6 hours ago. I loved you, I tell him. Not for them, for me. To hear what it sounds like when the sentence finally exits my body. A flicker crosses his face. Guilt, irritation, the failed math of a plan colliding with a variable he underestimated. Then the mask seals. The guards touch my arms. Not rough, routine. I lift my chin. Walk me out. Please. They do. Behind me, the band obediently finds its footing, and someone, maybe the planner, maybe fate, turns the volume up. Laughter resumes like a scene change. The machine of celebration swallows the splice where truth tried to cut.
At the gate, I stop them with a hand. Give me 30 seconds. They glance at each other and pretend not to hear me setting my phone to record. I step back toward the edge of the hedges and aim the lens between leaves. The sweetheart stage is in frame. The microphones are live. The crowd believes the crisis was entertainment included with the venue. Lena's voice filters through, a practiced balm. I'm so sorry, everyone. My sister struggles mentally. We've been trying to get her help. A tidy, glowing lie. The crowd softens, predictable. Relief is an easy sell. Julian leans toward her. The mic catches him low. Perfect, he murmurs. You handled it perfectly. Of course, she says. We planned it. Planned it. The syllables clink like dropped keys. I let the phone keep drinking sound. Applause, toasts, their future sealing itself with ribbon and denial. Ma'am, the guard says gently. Time. I pocket my evidence and let them escort me to the road. Gravel crunches under my flats. The sky is at that smug hour where it thinks he can get away with anything. I drive. Not home. The apartment is a museum of a life that won't exist by nightfall. I aim for the cheap hotel that holds people like a mouth holds secrets. The room is clean and indifferent. I lock the door, set my phone on the bedspread, and press play. Their voices fill the air. Then the image of us, my wedding photo, stares up from the screen like a witness. I don't throw anything, don't scream to ruin the drywall. I sit. I listen to my sister's voice describe me as unstable. I listen to my husband congratulate her on a plan well executed. I listen to the clink of celebratory glasses and the soft, unanimous approval of a crowd that has decided I'm the story's problem because it makes their food taste better. When the recording ends, the room is quiet enough to hear the hotel ice machine coughing down the hall. I open notes and build a list, the way I build med rounds when a unit floods: vitals, actions, contingencies. Marriage certificate, safe deposit box. Joint bank statements, lease, insurance policies, file cabinet, top drawer. Photos, laptop, cloud. Witnesses, neighbors, coworkers, our super, the barista who knows our order. Today's footage, upload, backup, print stills. Backup, external drive in shoebox. Next, lawyer. My hands don't shake. I am not a woman thrown out of a party. I am a woman at triage deciding who lives and who does not. The shower beats my skin hot and red. I scrub lilies out of my hair, champagne off my wrists, his cologne from the hollow beneath my ear. The mirror gives me back a face I recognize more clearly than I did this morning. When I'm dry, I sit cross-legged on the bed, open the browser, and search. Best divorce attorney, city, ruthless. The same names appear on lists that smell like power. I choose the one with eyes like a scalpel. I email 3 lines. Subject: urgent, bigamy, fraud, press. Body: my sister married my husband today. I have proof, and I will not be dismissed. I want to file first thing. I attach the wedding photo. I attach a 30-second clip. You handled it perfectly. We planned it. Send. I lie back on the stiff comforter and stare at the ceiling texture until it resolves into a map. This is a country I've never traveled, but I'm already fluent in its weather. I set my alarm for dawn and hold my phone like a lighthouse. When sleep finally comes, it isn't mercy, it's a doorway. I step through anyway. Morning sunlight cuts through the blinds like interrogation beams. My phone alarm thrums at 6, steady as a pulse. I'm already awake, rehearsing the shape of a day that will change the shape of the rest. I shower, braid my hair tight, pull on dark jeans and the jacket that makes me feel professional enough to negotiate with devils. Coffee scalds my tongue. Good. I want to feel everything today. The visit. Catherine Vale's office sits 20 stories above the city, all glass and mirror and precision. Her receptionist, immaculate, lethal smiling, ushers me in before the clock hits my appointment. Catherine herself is tall, silver-haired, dressed in charcoal that looks like it cost more than my monthly rent. She doesn't bother with small talk. You said bigamy and fraud in your email, she says, motioning me to the chair opposite her. Start from the beginning. I tell her every detail: the wedding, the confrontation, the phone recording. When I finish, her hands are steepled under her chin. This is one of the ugliest things I've heard in years, and that's a compliment to your chances. We can destroy them if you want to. I don't want drama, I want consequences. Catherine's smile is a flash of sharpened glass. Then let's begin with evidence. The apartment. Back home, the apartment feels like a crime scene. His shoes by the door, the scent of him and the towels, every object an accessory after the fact. I start at his desk. Julian was meticulous, file folders labeled, receipts stacked, but he always hid things in plain sight. The hollowed-out book yields a small key. The locked drawer clicks open like a confession. Inside, bank statements from an account I never knew existed, withdrawals, large, regular, over the last 8 months, receipts, hotels, jewelry, restaurants, wedding vendors, and at the bottom, a burner phone. My hands tremble when I plug it in. The screen lights hungry blue. Texts bloom like bruises. Lena, I can't stop thinking about last night. Julian, you're incredible. Soon I'll tell her. Lena, she'll get over it. She always does. Each message is another cut, surgical, precise. My breath comes shallow, but I keep scrolling. Lena, Mom saw us at the restaurant. Julian, she won't tell. She says I make you happy. Lena, she's right. I do deserve to be happy. More than she does, anyway. I screenshot everything. Forward the images to a hidden cloud folder. When I reach the final thread, dated yesterday, I almost dropped the phone. Julian, I didn't think she'd show up. That's why I prepped the mental health story. Julian, perfect. You're brilliant. Lena, I know. Now come back, husband. I stare until the words blur. They planned every lie, even my madness. Catherine again. By the time I return to Catherine's office, I have a folder thick with evidence and a soul scraped clean. She studies the screenshots, her expression morphing from professional interest to predatory satisfaction. We'll file for divorce, adultery, and fraud. Include every exhibit. I'll have the petition drafted tonight. He'll be served before he knows which way is up.
I hand her one more thing, a USB with the audio from the reception. When the phrase, "we planned it," plays, she exhales a single word. Beautiful. Now, she says, clicking her pen, we also sue for misuse of marital assets. Every dollar he spent on her came out of community property. We'll hit him for theft and damages. Her precision steadies me. The nurse in me loves a plan, even one that bleeds. There's more, I whisper, and slide the marriage certificate across the desk. Original copy, signed, notarized, filed 2.5 years ago. She inspects it, then glances up. And you're certain they held a real wedding? Real enough for society pages? Good, because if theirs is legally binding, he's a bigamist. If it's not, then it's fraud on the guests, the venue, the vendors. A pause stretches, electric. Either way, she says, he loses. The discovery. 2 nights later, I can't sleep. The apartment hums with old ghosts. I wander back to his office, open the drawer again. Beneath the empty file sleeves lies a manila envelope I missed. Inside, receipts, handwritten notes, and a contract from the wedding planner, Grandview Estate, signed not by a minister, but by Jonathan Vale, stage actor. My pulse spikes. I Google the name, theater troupe, local productions, same last name as Catherine, but no relation. A fake officiant. The next morning, Catherine nearly laughs when she sees it. He thought he was clever, she says. Your sister's marriage isn't legal. She hired an actor to play priest. She protected herself in case the truth came out. So legally, he's still married to me? Yes, Catherine says. And now he's also committed fraud in front of 200 witnesses. Her pen glides across a fresh page. This, she says, just became a case the press will salivate over. The service. 3 days later, Julian answers his new door in sweatpants expecting groceries. The process server hands him the envelope and asks for a signature, hidden camera running. I watch the footage in Catherine's office, his face opening, collapsing, paling. Lena appears behind him in one of his shirts. Her expression when she reads petition for dissolution of marriage is pure theater. Shock, then fury, then fear. She can't prove it, she snaps. He has the messages, he mutters. How? I don't know. I see it hit him, the realization that I was always smarter than he thought. On the tape, she says the words that end their alliance. The minister was fake. Julian's head jerks toward her. You planned that? I was protecting us, she insists. The video ends. Catherine closes her laptop like a coffin lid. That, she says, is probable cause for 6 charges. Wire fraud, conspiracy, false representation. He'll wish he'd stayed faithful. I nod. There's no thrill in it, only clarity. The quiet before. That night, I sit by the window with the city lights crawling below me. I think of the lilies at the church, of how their sweetness turned to rot in my throat, of my mother's trembling hand, my father's toast, of Lena's perfect smile. I should feel vengeance burning bright, but what I feel instead is focus, cold, clinical. Tomorrow we file. The papers will bear my name first. Delilah Ashford Thorne versus Julian Alexander Thorne et al. The world will finally hear my version, the real one. I whisper it once into the night to taste it. This time, I'm not the secret. By the time the papers hit the courthouse, the story is already leaking. Someone in the clerk's office recognizes the name Ashford, old money, clean headlines, respectable lineage, and tips off a blog that specializes in scandal with pedigree. The article goes live at 10:47 a.m. Society wedding fraud. Nurse exposes sister's secret marriage to her own husband. We planned it, claims leaked audio. Within an hour, screenshots flood social media. Within 2, my inbox blooms with messages from journalists, strangers, old classmates pretending concern, and 1 or 2 genuine friends typing, "Holy hell," like prayers. By noon, I've silenced notifications. Catherine's phone, however, is a war room. "They're calling it the double vow scandal," she says, pacing. "We let it simmer. The public loves a betrayed woman until she becomes inconvenient. We stay strategic." Her assistant drops an envelope on her desk. "Court order served. Julian and Lena are summoned." Watch. They'll start spinning. 2. The counterattack. The next day, the tabloids run rebuttals. Julian Thorne denies bigamy. Deranged ex-wife crashes sister's wedding. Anonymous sources leak that I've been struggling with mental health. The same lie they rehearsed now playing to millions. It almost works. For 3 days, the world doesn't know what to believe. But truth has a rhythm, and eventually, it hums louder than noise. When the video leaks, the one where Julian whispers, "You handled it perfectly," and Lena replies, "We planned it," everything turns. Comments shift. Sympathy migrates. Hashtags flip from "Pray for Lena" to "Justice for Delilah." My inbox changes flavor. Apologies, outrage, brand offers disguised as compassion. Someone edits my story into a TikTok montage with slow piano music and my waiting photo dissolving into flames. I don't watch the whole thing. 3. The legal firestorm. At the courthouse, cameras line the steps like vultures. Catherine walks ahead, her heels slicing through the chaos. "No statements," she warns. "Not yet." Inside, Julian looks smaller than memory. The arrogance stripped, the jaw slack. Lena sits beside him, perfect posture, shaking hands hidden under the tablecloth. The judge reads through the stack of filings with the disbelief of a man who's seen too much. Bigamy, fraud, misrepresentation, misuse of marital assets. "Mr. Thorne, this is elaborate." Julian's lawyer, young, expensively scared, tries to pivot. "My client was misled by Miss Ashford. He believed his marriage to the plaintiff was nullified." Catherine's laugh is pure theater. Nullified by what? Telepathy? "The marriage is legal, Your Honor. The second ceremony was not. We have their techs planning to fake it, and we have the actor who officiated, Mr. Jonathan Vale, ready to testify that he was paid $5,000 cash." Lena's head snaps toward her attorney. "He can't prove—" "He has receipts and emails from your personal address." Catherine cuts in. Silence falls heavy. The judge leans back. "We'll reconvene for the criminal portion once the DA reviews the material." He signs the divorce decree like it's an afterthought. "Mrs. Thorne, you are now, legally, single." The gavel drops. The sound is mercifully short. 4. The fallout. Outside, microphones bloom like flowers. Delilah, how does it feel to win? Are you pressing criminal charges? Would you ever forgive your sister? I don't answer. Catherine fields the chaos with practiced grace. My client is focusing on healing, she says, which sounds poetic enough to print. But winning isn't a clean thing. It's sticky. People want to touch your pain and call it empowerment. Brands DM me for sponsorships for strong women. Morning shows want exclusives. Netflix wants rights. I stay silent. Meanwhile, the machine chews up the others. Julian's company suspends him, pending ethical review. Sponsors pull out. The hospital where Lena volunteers issues a statement about values. My parents retreat into their mansion and close the drapes. At night, I scroll through feeds I shouldn't, watching the collapse frame by frame. Lena crying in paparazzi photos outside her condo. Julian avoiding cameras with a baseball cap and a scowl. Commenters dissecting every outfit, every facial twitch, like autopsy reports. It should satisfy me, but satisfaction doesn't arrive. 5. The visit. A week later, there's a knock. When I open the door, my mother stands there. No makeup, eyes swollen, a silk scar tied like armor. May I come in? She asks. I nod. She sits on my couch and folds her hands, trembling. I didn't know it would go that far, she says. I thought he'd leave you quietly, that Lena could finally be happy. By taking my husband? She winces. By making a future. You were always so self-contained, Delilah. I thought you'd survive anything. You were right, I say. I did. Tears track her cheeks. We were wrong. I want to tell her that apologies don't resurrect the dead. Instead, I pour her tea and let the silence do the punishment. 6. The reckoning. The DA moves faster than expected. Fraud charges for both Lena and Julian. Conspiracy to falsify legal documents. Bigamy. Public humiliation turned legal liability. When the verdicts arrive, guilty with suspended sentences, they both avoid prison by inches. But the damage is permanent. Their reputations implode, their social currency expired. I watch the coverage with detached curiosity. Catherine texts, "We did it." I reply, "Yes, but it doesn't feel like victory." 7. The quiet after. 3 months pass. The internet finds new victims. My name drifts from headlines into memory. I move apartments, something smaller, high enough to see the river. Some mornings I still wake up expecting his weight beside me. Then I remember, the air is mine again. Catherine calls once more, voice bright. Press wants a follow-up. Survivor of betrayal, rebuilding her life. You'd be adored. I've had enough of adoration, I say. I just want quiet. She laughs softly. Quiet doesn't trend, Delilah. Exactly. I hang up.
That night, I walk by the water with no camera on me. The city hums like an animal, content to forget. A breeze lifts the edge of my coat. Somewhere behind me, laughter spills from a restaurant where new liars are toasting new beginnings. I let it pass. Because for the first time in months, I don't need to prove a thing. I survived the machine, and in the ruins, I found something harder, cleaner, truth with no audience. Time doesn't heal, it erases with intent. 3 years slip by like careful surgery, removing what's diseased, leaving the scar as proof. I move cities, change hospitals, switch my nameplate at work from Delilah Thorne to simply D. Ashford. The first time someone calls me Ms. Ashford, I almost correct them out of habit. Almost. Therapy teaches me strange languages, closure, boundaries, peace. But I learn a better one myself. Silence. Not the suffocating kind from that church loft, but the kind that lets air return to your lungs. The scandal becomes trivia for gossip podcasts. Remember that nurse who caught her husband marrying her sister? Listeners gasp, then scroll past. Good. Let them forget. 2. The encounter. It happens in a grocery store on a Tuesday. I'm comparing brands of olive oil when a voice I used to know says, "Delilah." Julian. Older, thinner, the polish gone from his posture. He's holding a basket with discount items, wearing a jacket one promotion short of respectable. I freeze for a breath, then turn slowly. Julian? He smiles like apology might still have currency. You look good. So do you. It's not true, but I say it like a benediction. I wanted to reach out after everything, to say sorry. You already did. When? In court. Every time you look down instead of at me. He flinches. I wasn't proud of what we did. We? Lena and I. Don't, I cut in. You used her, she used you. That's not love. That's inventory. He opens his mouth, closes it again. The overhead light catches on his wedding band. Different. Cheaper. I wonder whose hand he borrowed it from this time. He heard you're doing well. People respect you again. I never lost their respect. You did. He nods slowly, absorbing it like medicine. Then he steps back, a shadow learning its boundary. I hope you're happy. I am. He leaves. I watch his reflection in the glass door. Smaller, then gone. My hands are steady. The olive oil gleams gold under fluorescent light. For the first time, a past encounter doesn't feel like a relapse. 2 months later, a package arrives. No return address, just a wax seal pressed sloppy. Inside, a letter in Lena's handwriting and a photograph. Her in some halfway house garden, plain clothes, sunburned but smiling like penance. Delilah. They let me teach art classes here. It's quiet. I think about you every day, about what I took and what I lost. You were right. Truth isn't a weapon. It's oxygen. I hope one day we can breathe the same air without choking on it. Lena. I read it twice. Then I fold it back and slip it into a drawer. Not forgiveness, but filing. 4. The rebuild. My apartment blooms with small, ordinary things. A pothos vine, thriving despite my neglect. The hum of a cat named Mercy. Stacks of books I never had time for. I start teaching night classes for trauma nurses, how to stay human while stitching the broken. The students listen with the hunger of those still believing in redemption. One evening, after class, a man lingers by the door. He's new. Quiet, thoughtful eyes. He says he's a paramedic, admires my lecture on calm under pressure. We talk. His name is Sam. His laugh is unpolished. When he asks me for coffee, I don't flinch. We go slowly. Months of shared silences, small touches. He doesn't ask about my past, but I tell him anyway, one piece at a time, like bones in daylight. He doesn't pity me. He listens. When he finally takes my hand, the gesture feels unremarkable in the most extraordinary way, like a door closing on an old story. 5. The return. 5 years to the day after the wedding that was not, I return to St. Catherine's Church. It's nearly empty, just the scent of dust and old forgiveness. The lilies are gone. In their place, wildflowers lean from a vase beside the altar. I sit in the same loft where I once watched my life burn. The wood still creaks under my knees. I open my phone, not to record, not to prove,
but to delete the final file, the video of Julian and Lena. The red dot disappears. The screen goes black. Goodbye, I whisper. Not to them, but to the version of me that needed witnesses. Sunlight filters through the stained glass. Blue, carmine, gold. For a moment, I imagine each color as a year survived. Down below, a young couple takes wedding photos, laughing shyly. I feel no bitterness, no ennui, just distance. When I stand to leave, the church door sighs open, spilling light down the aisle like mercy. Epilogue. Later that night, on my balcony overlooking the river, Sam hands me a mug of tea. "You look like you made peace with something," he says. Maybe I did. What was it? The ghost version of me. He smiles. She must have been hard to live with. She was, I admit. But she got me here. We sit in quiet, the kind I earned. Below, the city hums. Somewhere, laughter rises, dissolving into the night. I think of the lilies, the church, the courtroom, the headlines. Then I think of this. Warm tea, steady breath, no audience. Redemption doesn't arrive like thunder. It slips in like dawn, unnoticed until it fills the room. Fade out. End of series. The Vows We Buried.